The sun dipped low over the Redding Ranch, casting a golden glow across the 2,000 dusty acres my family had worked for over a century. The air smelled like dry earth and sweat and legacy, the kind of scent that doesn't wash off. I stood at the edge of our land, arms crossed, watching as a convoy of sleek black SUVs kicked up dust down our dirt road. Leading the charge was that flashy red Escalade. No mistaking it, it belonged to Meredith Langford, the so-called president of the New Pine Hollow Estates HOA. She wasn't from around here. Meredith came from back east with big money and even bigger arrogance, convinced she could bulldoze her way into small-town Texas life. Lately, she had the clout to back it up. Behind her trailed surveyors, 2 county suits, and a pair of bulldozers that looked ready to roll right through history. They stopped at the southern field, about 3 miles from the main house, the same field where my grandfather taught me to rope cattle. Meredith stepped out, her high heels sinking into the dirt like they didn't belong because they didn't. She unfurled a map, flashed a predator's grin, and shouted, "Mr. Redding, according to county filings, this 300-acre section here is unclaimed and now under Pine Hollow HOA jurisdiction. We're starting development next week." I stared her down. "That's Redding land, ma'am. Always has been. Always will be." She smirked and gestured toward the bulldozers. "Not according to the paperwork. Looks like your taxes weren't up to date. The HOA is well within its rights. You can call your lawyer if you want, but this is happening." I felt my blood boil. My dad fought in Vietnam. My grandfather rebuilt this ranch from scorched dirt after the Dust Bowl. Now some outsider thought she could take it with a signature and a smirk? "You bring one of those machines on my land, and you'll see how fast a Texas judge handles trespass," I said. Her smile didn't flinch. "We're past the courts, Mr. Redding. This is eminent domain. You should have paid your taxes." "Impossible. I'd paid every cent, same as my father and grandfather before me." Something was wrong. The bulldozers roared to life. Surveyors began planting stakes in the field like it already belonged to them. But what Meredith didn't know was this land wasn't just ours by blood. It was ours by law. Somewhere out here was the proof. My father always told me, "If they ever come for this ranch, remember, the Reddings don't just own a ranch. We own this whole damn county." The next morning, I sat on the porch sipping black coffee, staring out at those stakes like they were knives in the dirt. Rage wasn't going to save this ranch. I needed facts, so I drove into town, straight to the county clerk's office. The place smelled like mold and red tape. Paul Finley, the clerk, didn't even look up when I walked in. "If you're here about the HOA, don't waste your time, Redding. It's legal. Plans filed. Mayor approved." "Show me the original plats," I said. He sighed and disappeared into the back. When he returned, he laid out a faded 1947 map. Sure enough, the southern pasture was grayed out, marked unclaimed. No mention of Redding Ranch. "That's wrong," I said. "We've been paying taxes on that land for generations. Maybe your daddy forgot to refile something. Maybe the town messed up. Doesn't matter now. Meredith owns half this county, mayor, sheriff, even the bank. You'd do best to let it go." I left without a word. The fix was in. Meredith had bought everyone. But there was still one man she couldn't buy. Earl Parker, my dad's best friend, a retired surveyor and local legend. I found him at his cabin on the edge of Pine Hollow. When I told him what happened, his eyes narrowed. "Damn it, Wyatt. I told your dad this day would come. They've been waiting for a gap in the chain. But your family's never been the forgetting kind. Problem is, Earl, I don't know where the original deeds are. Dad said there was a safe. I never found it." Earl grinned. "Ever wonder why your granddad's old barn never blew over in a storm? It's hiding something. North wall under the floorboards. I helped build it. We were there by dawn." Earl tapped along the floorboards until he found the hollow spot. Together, we pried up the planks and uncovered a rusted iron safe. The combo was scratched into the underside of one board. Inside were 3 folders, brittle with age but perfectly preserved. The first was a land grant dated 1889, signed by Governor Hiram Lowry. It gave full rights land, water, mineral, and grazing to the Redding family. The second was a lease to the county, allowing settlement in exchange for modest rent. That lease had expired 5 years ago. The third? Tax receipts going back 100 years. Every acre, including the disputed pasture, paid in full. Hell, son, Earl muttered, flipping through the documents. You could evict the whole town with this. I don't want the town. I want Meredith out. We made copies. The originals went back in the safe. I wasn't letting 130 years of proof walk into enemy territory. By midday, I was at the courthouse, dropping copies on every desk I could find. Mayor Whitaker went pale flipping through them. Where did you get these? Same place they've always been. Just took someone who cared enough to look. This changes things. Damn right it does. Meredith is building on land the county doesn't own. The lease expired. I could sue for back rent for every structure built without consent. What do you want? Cancel the development. Fire the bulldozers. Tell your friends in suits that the party's over. She has investors. I don't care. Sunset. After that, I start filing lawsuits. My last stop was the Pine Hollow Country Club, still under construction on my land. Meredith stood outside, barking orders. Come to admire progress? She said.
No.
I came to serve notice. You're trespassing. She sneered. I have eminent domain. Only applies when the county owns the land. You're squatting. That fancy clubhouse? It's mine now. Her face tightened. You're bluffing. Then call your lawyer. He's already got a copy. So do the sheriff, the paper, and every voter in this county. She tried to laugh it off, but the workers had gone quiet. One took off his helmet and walked away. What do you want? She whispered. Your resignation. Dismantle the HOA. Remove every structure from my land. That's not possible. Then get ready for the fight of your life. That night, I sat with Earl on the porch, sipping coffee. Think she'll fold? She has to. That paper you found? It's worth more than any bulldozer she can rent. By morning, the town square was packed. The emergency meeting had drawn half the county. Ranchers, news crews, angry homeowners. I stood before them, documents in hand. This courthouse, the streets you walk on, your homes. They're all on Redding land. The lease expired 5 years ago. I could demand payment. Or I could demand respect. Meredith arrived late, flanked by 2 attorneys. She tried to speak, but I cut her off. The HOA is dissolved. All fines and liens are void. And you're trespassing. Sheriff Nolan stepped up. I checked the records. Redding's right. The crowd erupted. Meredith went pale. This is blackmail. No, I said. This is justice. You tried to erase my family. Now you'll be the one forgotten. The sheriff cuffed her on the spot. Her lawyers protested. No one cared. In the following weeks, the HOA was permanently disbanded. The town voted to strike it from the county charter. The country club was demolished. Life returned to the way it was supposed to be, simple, fair hours. Then came a letter from Houston. Meredith, backed by shady developers, was suing me for defamation. I dug deeper. Those developers? The same ones that bankrupted nearby counties. But they didn't know about the clause in our land grant prohibiting subdivision or sale without family consent. We filed countersuits. Within days, the feds were in town. Fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. When the dust settled, Meredith flipped on her investors. The whole operation unraveled. Arrests were made. Properties seized. The town, grateful and ashamed, changed its name from Pine Hollow to Redding County. The final piece? A letter unearthed from the archives, written by Governor Lowry himself. To the Redding heirs, if your land is ever threatened, know that this county stands with you. This land remembers. And it did. Today the ranch still stands. Strong. Whole. Free. I ride the fields every morning, knowing that my father and grandfather would be proud. And Meredith? She's a name buried beneath paperwork. Because the land doesn't forget. And neither do the Reddings.